Donald Trump's former Russia advisor says the Kremlin is geared up to interfere in the 2020 presidential election. Fiona Hill, the former senior director for Europe and Russia at the National Security Council, has addressed the impeachment inquiry. In her prepared evidence, she slammed Republicans for what she called the fictional narrative that Ukraine was involved in election meddling. She said Republicans were using the impeachment proceedings to promote falsehoods that Ukraine attacked the 2016 election, and she refuses to be part of it.
Right now, Russia's security services and their proxies have geared up to repeat their interference in the 2020 election. We are running out of time to stop them. In the course of this investigation, I would ask that you please not promote politically driven falsehoods that so clearly advance Russian interests. As Republicans and Democrats have agreed for decades, Ukraine is a valued partner of the United States, and it plays an important role in our national security. And as I told the committee last month, I refuse to be part of an effort to legitimise an alternate narrative that the Ukrainian government is a US adversary and that Ukraine, not Russia, attacked us in 2016.
Also testifying before the inquiry, David Holmes from the US Embassy in Kiev claims he heard a phone conversation the following day between the US ambassador to the EU, Gordon Sondland, and Mr Trump. Mr Holmes recalled the president's voice was very loud and recognisable, and Ambassador Sondland held the phone away from his ear for a period of time, presumably because of the loud volume. He says he then spoke to Ambassador afterwards.
I asked Ambassador Sondland if it was true that the president did not give an expletive about Ukraine. Ambassador Sondland agreed that the president did not give an expletive about Ukraine. I asked why not. And Ambassador Sondland stated that the president only cares about big stuff. I noted there was big stuff going on in Ukraine, like a war with Russia. And Ambassador Sondland replied that he meant big stuff that benefits the president, like the Biden investigation.
It's really interesting, particularly the testimony of Fiona Hill. She is a Russia expert, and she has been heavily critical of Donald Trump's approach, his perception of Ukraine's role in the 2016 election. She says it's simply a false narrative that Republicans and the president have been pushing, suggesting that Ukraine in any way was involved in meddling in the US election. She wants it to be clear, to be put on the public record that Russia was responsible and that Donald Trump has a responsibility to the American public to make that clear. What was also interesting in Fiona Hill's testimony was how she described Rudy Giuliani. Now, he is the president's lawyer who has been described as pursuing shadow foreign policy in Ukraine. I spoke to him back in October. He insisted that he hadn't, quote, done a darn thing wrong, but he has been central to so much of the critical testimony that we have heard from witnesses. And Fiona Hill, who worked closely alongside former National Security Advisor John Bolton, has said that John Bolton told her that Giuliani was, quote, a hand grenade who was going to blow everybody up. So clearly, according to Hill's account, it was a concern both of hers and of John Bolton, a man at the top of the administration, that Rudy Giuliani was pursuing something dangerous for American diplomacy. But we've heard reaction from Tim Murtaugh, a man I've spoken to who's part of the Trump 2020 campaign. He's firmly pushing back on her testimony, saying that it is undermined and not credible because she admits she didn't directly listen to that July phone call that sparked this impeachment investigation between Donald Trump and the Ukrainian President Zelensky. I think that is something we are hearing very regularly throughout this impeachment hearing. People are saying that these witnesses are simply pushing third-hand, third-rate accounts of what they think has happened.